Welcome. This is amazing class. We had some technical paradise in this world. How can I experience paradise in this world? That's what this today's session is about, and we're going to take a look at what can I do about my personal exile, and what is possible for me to do to experience paradise in this world. What did I receive through the blessings? How can I do this? To what end? And where is the paradise that waits? What does that mean for my Torah? I think that what is tshuva, what provides the only framework for the princess to flourish. Let me say that again. What provides the only framework for the princess to flourish? And how did we lose her in the first place? What was the result? How do we start? So, we've asked before in the past, we've understood that in Lessons for Life, what we're discussing here, and we've been leading up to this moment, that all of life is made of two contrasting components, a quantifiable measure of external shallow accomplishment and a qualitative and inward spirit of depth, purpose, meaning, and vibrancy. And once again, while it's possible to maintain an avodas Hashem that consists of pure action alone, Rabbi Nachmon teaches us that Hashem delights in the desire of the heart more than anything else. He relishes the spirit of faith, passion, excitement, and youthful wonder that so animates the halakha experience. So let's jump into this. Keep in mind, virtually all of the Hasidic masters stress that it is not enough for a Jew to simply follow the ways of the Torah for the sake of earning reward in the world to come. Okay, it's not enough. It's not that we don't do that or there's not some benefit to that. But rather Hashem intends for our avodah, our service, to be bursting with passion, excitement, vitality, and meaning, to the point that we experience a taste of paradise in this world. Again, we could say our avodas Hashem intends for it to be bursting, and some would say everything we do needs to be filled with avodas Hashem, but that's why we're doing it. On a more basic level, what more can we ask from life than that be bursting with passion, excitement, vitality, and meaning, to the point that we experience a taste of paradise in this world? Remember that childhood feeling of just that, at least at some point, for some of us in even the earliest memories, and if not that, at fleeting moments, maybe at a birthday party, maybe somewhere, maybe sitting on grandma or grandpa's lap, if not our parents, something, some friend, some babysitter, that we just felt everything was all right. So with this, Chazal interpreted the words of the Mishnah where it says, Sechar mitzvah mitzvah, not as the reward for a mitzvah, as the opportunity to perform another mitzvah, but rather as the reward of a mitzvah is the mitzvah itself. In the words of Rabbi Nachmon of Chernobyl, that's a different, Rabbi Nachmon. And here we're looking to see, when is a mitzvah a mitzvah? In other words, when is the reward of the mitzvah itself? The primary reward for a mitzvah is the mitzvah itself, the divine binding, we call that dveikus, and the spiritual pleasure involved in the action, which is an aspect of greeting the face of the Shekhinah. Without this, it is called an empty mitzvah, for it is missing the life force and the soul, leaving only the body of the act. It is only truly called a mitzvah by means of the desire and the cleaving, savsa, of the inner spark of godliness within its source. This idea is one of the main themes discussed in a previous work by this author called Sunlight of Redemption. There he taught that the primary teaching of the Baal Shem Tov and primary teachings of the Baal Shem Tov and his students was that they sought to convey the idea that it is possible for a Jew to tap into the glorious spirit of Olam Haba even while living in Olam Hazeh, even in this world. And the early Hasidic masters trained their followers, and this is something for us, trained the followers to sense the rays of presence filtering through the curtain of concealment and encounter the truth behind the falsehood, the infinite behind the limited, and the eternal light of Hashem illuminating the transience of our reality. I'll go through that again. The earlier Hasidic masters trained their followers to sense the light of the sun, sense the rays of presence filtering through the curtain of concealment, and encounter the truth behind the falsehood, the infinite behind the limited, and the eternal light of Hashem illuminating the transience of our reality. So, we taught that the collective exile of the Jewish nation is mirrored by a personal servitude of confusion, loneliness, and despair experienced by each and every individual, and that while the collective redemption may be beyond the influence of any one individual, and again here's where what I can do about my personal feelings of exile, while the collective redemption may be beyond the influence of any one individual, in other words, bringing Mashiach, it is well within a Jew's capacity to free himself from the bonds of his personal exile. By endeavoring to attain existential lucidity and religious clarity through engagement with the teachings of our tzaddikim, the Jewish person is able to transform his or her consciousness into one of emunah and bitachon, living life with ultimate peace of mind, gratitude, vibrancy, and boundless joy, despite the multifarious troubles of this worldliness. Again, can transform our consciousness into one of emunah and bitachon, living life with ultimate peace of mind, gratitude, vibrancy, and boundless joy. So, how do we do this? Although one's feet may yet walk in exile, yeah, we got to go to work. Yeah, we got to wash the dishes. Yeah, we got to change the diapers. Our heart and mind is imbued with the transcendent spirit of the neshama, lifted on wings of love and awe to a world beyond. Instead of seeing a natural world of absurdity where lust, jealousy, and base desires reign supreme, what's known as a malchus de sitra akra, it is possible for a Jew to see past the illusory silence of our physical realm and attain a deep and abiding awareness of the purposeful, meaningful, and glorious spiritual element underlying our perspective of reality that renders this world a malchus de kedusha, a unified kingdom in which each and every facet of existence joins all others in the quest to bring about the ultimate honor of Hashem. Faced with the same facts as everyone else, again, this is the key to how we do this. Faced with the same facts as everyone else, his interpretation of those facts, so vastly different from that of the nations of the world, alters his experience entirely. We get that? It's how we interpret. We know that the facts are the facts. How we interpret that. The laws, concepts, customs, precepts, and ideals of our Holy Torah form a portal through which the Jew can travel to a world of transcendent lucidity and draw down streams of otherworldly clarity to illuminate the topsy-turvy world of darkness, transforming reality with the brilliance of his spiritual perception. Thoughts, words, and actions of holiness that are granted permission to reach into the Jew's core, to consciously engage his neshama with sincerity, joy, confidence, and humility, draw the spirit of Olam Haba, of this world, into his or her soul, and fill his or her world with the scent of Gan Eden, paradise. As an example, the story is told about a rabbi who visited paradise in a dream. Entering the hall were the Tanaim, these were the early codifiers, the early expositors of what had been previously passed down orally. Entering the hall where the Tanaim were enjoying their eternal reward, the rabbi in his dream saw that they were all sitting around a plain wooden table studying Torah. Disappointed, the rabbi asked an angel, "Is this all? This is what paradise looks like?" He received the following reply: "The Tanaim aren't in paradise. Paradise is in the Tanaim." Oh! The tzaddikim desired to demonstrate how the otherworldly joy of paradise present in each mitzvah and every word of Torah and prayer could spill over into one's mundane activities, filling them all with meaning and contentment. The goal they taught is never for one to remove himself from this world and cleave solely to the spiritual glory of the next, but rather to allow the spirit of Olam Haba to illuminate his daily experience. The spirit of the world to come, to illuminate one's daily experience. Olamcha tir'ah b'chayecha. Ready? What provides the only framework for the princess to flourish. Here we go. When set in the context of a personal bond with Abba Shemayim, with our Father in heaven, one's main mundane responsibilities are elevated to the realm of the sacred. Again, when set in the context of a personal bond with our Father in heaven. So, our mundane responsibilities become considered service of Hashem, Avodas Hashem. They too become filled with a sense of joy and ultimate fulfillment. And this is an important point. Rather than being castigated and abandoned, the 6 sons of our lives are to be imbued with the energizing spirit of the princess, serving as a vessel for her awesome light. Indeed, when it comes to Avodas Hashem, it is the structure of practical halakha and mitzvah observance that provides a framework, the only framework in which the spirit of the princess can truly flourish. So in other words, within the structure, the observant, the authentic Jewish structure, this is where the 6 sons can be elevated to the feeling of living, of bringing paradise into this very framework where one's mundane responsibilities are elevated to the realm of the sacred. Rabbi Nachmon begins his book of tales by teaching that of all his children, the king loves his daughter the most. To what end? Hashem seeks the heart and soul of his holy nation, awaiting the unification of the daughter and the 6 sons in their service, exacting halakha observance, activated and energized by the life-saving spirit, life-giving spirit of yearning, longing, sincerity, and passionate excitement. Unfortunately, again, here's where we go, a reminder of how we lost her. Unfortunately, as we walk along the difficult journey of life, we often find ourselves bereft of the princess, of our inner child, of that lost yearning, longing, sincerity, and passionate excitement. Our impressive accomplishments seem to be matched only by the ever-growing emptiness within. We do not know where to search. We desperately thirst for meaning in the lost joy of our youth, but we do not know even where to search. In this story, Rabbi Nachmon reveals to the final generations, before the coming of Mashiach, just when and where it is that the princess of our Avodas Hashem has gotten lost, and how we might locate and free her, allowing for her exuberance to animate our lives once more with the passion, wonder, and excitement of youth, the holiness of Shabbos Kodesh. So, we ask ourselves, did we answer the questions that, considering that all of life is made up of these 2 contrasting components, the quantifiable measure of external shallow accomplishments, the 6 sons, and a qualitative and inward spirit of depth, purpose, meaning, and vibrancy, have we indeed brought this into our lives? Can we do it? How do we do it? The focus of this book and of this story will be to fulfill Hashem's delight and therefore ours, and the desire of the heart more than anything else, that it be filled with faith, passion, excitement, and youthful wonder, and that in doing so we so animate the halakhic experience, but also the mundanity of our life. Thank you very much. We start up next week with in our next session, what was the grave error that the daughter did. On one occasion, when the king was together with her on a certain day, he grew angry with her and threw the following words from his mouth: "May the no good one take you." That night she went to her room, and in the morning no one knew where she went. So, what was it that she did? We will go through what happened, what was the king's strategy by sending her out, what was that she went to her room, not back to his, and we follow with some new lessons for life. What happens when one of the parties and even the closest of relationships ceases to appreciate the gift of their bond and begins taking the other's love for granted? It is incredibly painful and destructive. Gratitude preserves the excitement, passion, and desire we once felt towards something, even after attaining it. When we stop being grateful for the gifts in our lives, we have lost touch with the deep feelings we have towards those gifts, and they cease to inspire wonder and joy in our hearts. All apparently heavenly distancing is only for the purpose of bringing us closer. While it may seem as if Hashem is driving us away, in truth, He wants us to use this challenge as an opportunity to express how much He means to us by returning to His service. And finally, when we make the mistake of thinking that Hashem's apparent rejection is for real and run away from His fury, this devastating error leaves us susceptible to the evil forces. I challenge us, yourselves as well as myself, to take a look at this week as who are our 6 sons, and how, in fact, can we bring in this spirit into all that we do, and into each of the different experiences, what we call the mundanity of our life, both halakhically oriented as well as I said before, going to work, getting up again, doing the journey, washing the dishes, changing the diapers, changing the tires, changing the oil, even going to the doctor, all the myriad things that we do, filling out forms, and dealing with bureaucracy. How can we inspire ourselves in each and every moment? And I believe we see here that it is in fact possible. That's what the tzaddikim do, and our challenge will be, as we move forward, to uncover how we got to where we lost it. Was it really lost? And of course, more than anything else, as we go through our story and our lives together, how in fact can we bring it back? Thank you.